For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Welcome to the gist on Stat News Global. I'm Ramananda Sengupta. Our very special guest joining us live today is Dr. Waeel Awwad, who is not only one of India's foremost foreign journalists, but he's been covering conflicts in that region for what, more than 20 years?
30 plus.
Wow, okay, so 30 plus. And more importantly, just 4 days ago, when we were talking about the fall of Aleppo, Dr. Awwad actually mentioned the possibility of what actually transpired this morning, that, Damascus was the next to fall. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Awwad. And I'd like to start off very quickly on a question that's been bothering me for a long time. What happened to Syria's, Assad's friends from Russia and,
Iran.
Iraq, yeah. What happened to them?
Well, I think when we realized that the Israeli Prime Minister sent a strong warning to Syrian President on the 26th of November, calling him that you're playing with fire, and the intelligence of Israel and Turkey met together and immediately launching the attack on Syria on the 27th, we were anticipating the end game of it because Turkey put all its forces behind the rebels, which they have more than 60,000 rebel under their arms, all different 31 groups of the Islamist, the Salafist, Takfiri, former Al-Qaeda leaders. Everybody was on force, well armed, and they have been with the drones, with the tanks, with the anti-missiles. Everybody moved in immediately and swiftly. They have the sleeping cell in Syria, and Russia had a deal with Turkey because of the ongoing war in Ukraine, and they wanted to find a face-saving formula for them. And I think they sold out the Syrian government. That's why Russia was not very keen in participating fully in supporting Syria, as they have done in 2015. And then we realized that the Iranians also were at the receiving end because without Russia, they couldn't take part, because the American gave a stern warning to Iran and to the Iraqi government that the Iraqi Popular Fronts are not allowed to intervene or go into Syria, and they will attack them and they will sanction on Iraq. So the Iraqi government took a political decision, except for the Hezbollah fighter who were already at the receiving end because of the ceasefire and the attack by Israelis on their position. They were unable to support the Syrian government. So therefore, the Syrian government left on its own, where the army deserted their position, and these forces have taken place swiftly, as they have done in Bangladesh, as they have done in Libya, which is a clear indication that without the support of the vested interest nation, this wouldn't have taken that fast step.
So now what happens? Isn't this a big sort of slap in the face for Russia, particularly Russia, also Iran?
Well, I think the objective, Ramanand, of the United States and Israel is to break the axis of resistance, they call it, from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Yemen, the Houthis, Ansarullah. So this is their first objective, and then Trump coming will revive the Abraham Accord, where he enforced pressure on the some of the Arab capitals to normalize relation with Israel. And now they wanted to see that there is a normalization of relation with Israel without even solving the Palestinian issue. So they wanted to expand, they wanted to break up Syria, Iraq, Iran, Egypt, and of course, Jordan is on the card for some time. So all these countries will face the music of the next hub of terrorism if Syria remain, stronger, intact, and sovereign as a sovereign nation, or they are willing to turn it into a hub like Kandahar, so where all the global terrorism will be active again, and there could be more of attack on Russia because Russia are facing lots of difficulty and pressure from the West and US on Ukraine, and also they are now facing more pressure being in Syria But I don't know what sort of a deal they had with the Turk, because Turkey have the upper hand on those group. They didn't attack Hamimim military base of Russia in Tartus, Syria. So we don't know yet what could be the outcome. We have to wait and watch the new development. Will the Syria transition will be peaceful? Will there be any attritions? Will there be any retaliation attack on Russia or Iranian installation in Syria or interest? So we have to watch and see, because the picture is very grim, though we can see celebration in many of the capitals of Syria, like we saw in Bangladesh and in Libya, but it turned out to be a disastrous for the country in the days to come.
Mm-hmm. Disastrous, right, sir? Because most of these rebels, as you pointed out in our earlier talk, are actually former Al-Qaeda and ISIS members. So, I mean,
Yes.
But how is it, sir, that, I'm just, again, intrigued that the earlier cities they captured, like in Aleppo and Qom and all that, there are not really too many reports of, people being sort of randomly massacred or sort of, attacked. I mean, the citizens there.
Yes, you can expect attack. If I understood your question, because your voice disappeared, that there is that minorities in Syria are dangerous at the moment, because most of those groups are hardcore Sunni group who are most dominant in Syrian society as well. But now, when the government is no more in power, these minorities are feeling the heat, and they're worried that retaliation on them, because they have nothing to do even with the government.
Right.
I mean, to speak of the Druze, Alawite, the Ismaili, the other Christians minorities, if that is the next target, then we are heading for a sectarian violence. More communal forces will be there, and more of the violence and extremists will be nourishing in this part of the world. And that is the objective, to bring international mandate to Syria, like they did in Afghanistan, and create more havoc, and America disappear from Syria when days to come, like they did in Afghanistan.
I see. But, sir, now what do you think Iran's options are and Russia's options are? Because, like I said, this must have been a slap in their face.
Look, let's look at the conflict in a wider perspective between Syria and Israel. The Syrian war with Israel is long, since 1948, 1967. Israel occupied Syrian Golan. They discovered oil by the American companies, and they know that the tributaries of these oils are already inside Syrian territories. So we know the ambition of Israel to annex Syrian parts. That is for sure. Iran, during the Shah, was the best friend of United States and also Israel. Only during the Islamic Revolution came, things have changed since 1979. Hezbollah came to existence in 1982. Russia came to Syria during the USSR. We had a comprehensive defense deal with them. So the Syrian conflict with Israel is the main cause of the tension in the region. And I think American policy in 1995, clean and break policy by the newcons, those, the Richard Pearse, who have written this one, it was a clear indication they wanted to break Syria into cantons. So they wanted to weaken the countries neighboring Israel. It is Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, and these are going to be break into small countries where Israel can have the dominance as per the American objective. So this is the main cause of it. So Russia is facing a lot of pressure, and it is a slap on the face. But I think if there is a change of regime, some kind of settlement for the Syrian with the new government, then I don't think it's a slap on the face. If it is not a slap on the face, then they are partners in the crime against Syria.
Oh, I see. Okay. And right now, sir, what is the situation in Damascus? What have you been hearing?
Well, I have my family in Hama city, where they have been telling me for the last 3 days the situation is calm. They are not attacking civilians. In Damascus, also the same thing is happening. People are sitting at home. Nobody is going out to fearing that there could be an attack. But most of the people are in the street in jubilation. And most of the people are actually attacking most of the places, visiting the President Palace, like we saw in Bangladesh, what they have been doing, or Sri Lanka. And people are in the street celebrating, firing. I think there is a transitional government will be led by the current Prime Minister of Syria, who has been kept in power by Abu Muhammad al-Gulani, the leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. He has told them to continue to be in power till they form the new government. So there is a call to maintain calm and harmony, no attack on any society or a prayer place or public properties. So if they maintain this sort of situation, then we are heading for a calm and a more cool and a soft transition. But I am still pessimistic because things can go out of control if there is no control in the public who is already
Absolutely.
in despair. And you can control a party, but you cannot control mobs.
Mm-hmm. So also, I mean, if you were to look at it from that perspective, do you think it has also been a sort of a shot in the arm for the jihadist elements in other places, like for instance, Pakistan, Afghanistan? I mean, that they have won something in Syria. Do you think they're going to be encouraged and sort of charged up
You're
because of this?
freezing. I can't hear you.
Sir, what I meant was that other jihadi elements across the world, will they sort of get encouraged by this win by the rebels in Syria? For
Absolutely.
instance, Pakistan.
You see, Ramanand, actually, terrorism has been used as a tool by vested interest nation to achieve political objective. They used it, the jihadist culture in Afghanistan, and they toppled the USSR. They used them in Iraq and Syria to topple the Iraqi government and make the American force the Iraqi government to retain their troops and military bases there so they can continue to be present and take the Iraqi oil and wealth. And similarly in Syria, they are in the northern eastern part of Syria where they are supporting the Kurdish forces. So it is a place we have America still hosting more than 60,000 ISIS terrorist fighters inside Syria and the Hul prisons in the territory occupied by the United States, according to UN agencies. And now they are threatening neighboring countries, we will release them if you don't come to terms with us. So I think what Biden administration is doing again is a revival of terrorism in this part of the world because they wanted to have a pretext to stay back in Syria and Iraq. They want to have a pretext to continue the war on Russia. That's why they are doing all these things. So Trump hand will be tightened and the deep state will have a problem with Trump administration if they don't come in terms to serve the American military industry searching for more trouble zone.
Uh-huh. And so what have you heard about President Assad? I mean, there have been rumors that, he died in a plane crash. There have been rumors that he escaped. What have you been hearing about it?
You are freezing. I can't hear you.
Sir, I said, what have you been hearing about President Assad? I mean, there were rumors that he died in a plane crash, and there were rumors that, he may have escaped. Nobody really seems to know.
No, he already left the country in early morning. Flight from Latakia. He was at the military base in Russian military base, and people saying that the sources saying that he flew to Abu Dhabi. Some people say to Moscow. There were 2-3 planes left, one to Tehran, one to Abu Dhabi, and one to Moscow. But at the moment, we all know that he is safe. He did not die, but the rumors are there, and very strong rumors. But that is part of the propaganda machine of fake news.
Mm-hmm. What happens now, sir? What are the options now before Syria? In Syria, sir, what happens now? I mean, what do you think is going to happen now? Do you think the rebels will establish a government, or do you think they'll allow the prime minister who's there, who's saying he's willing to work with them?
Well, I think the current prime minister, he was asked to continue being in power. I think they will bring back those dissents who left the government, like the former prime minister of Syria. He could play a part. Most of the diplomats, the ministers who deserted, who've been paid by the Arab Gulf state to descend and leave the government, they will bring them back. We don't know yet what will be the formation of the government, but at the moment, we need to watch and see with pessimistic view, what optimistic that maybe the Syrian aspiration for a better life, a better governance, a clean government can come, or is it the objective is to destroy Syria, not the Syrian government? God knows what will be next for Syria.
That, I suppose we can't just leave it up to God, but anything else that you feel is relevant here, so that you feel should be sort of noticed, like you warned us last time that this is likely to happen?
I think what we need to watch the development in Egypt. It is worrying me, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq also, because there is a tendency of opening the prisons in Hul where the ISIS cadets are inside the jail of the American custody. they may release them, so they may send them back into Iraq. There is a problem of revival of Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt.
Right.
There is also more ambition for the Erdogan to raise again and the new Ottoman flags inside the castle of Aleppo, and the inside Aleppo, claiming it's a part of Turkey. So part of annexation of Syria is on the card. Part of widening the regional war is there, and bringing Trump into power. We can expect that as Netanyahu put the conditional to have a truce in Lebanon, Hezbollah will be next. Hamas and the West Bank, Gaza and West Bank will be annexed by Israel, will be legitimized to have a Judaism state only for the Jew. So all this will have a strong impact on the development and more turbulent in the West Asia.
Wow. Sir, I think we've sort of run out of time. I really wanted to thank you for, your insights on what's been happening here. And I look forward to hosting you again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That is Dr. Waeel Awwad, who happens to be just one of the foremost sort of, reporters studying conflict in that region, telling us what he thinks is going to happen in Syria now, and what are the fallouts, not just for the region, but for the world, including perhaps India. I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of The Gist, and I look forward to having you with us again. Till then, this is Ramananda Sengupta signing out.